You're listening to a New York Islanders episode of the Jacob Volk Show. He's breaking down the team's latest goings-on as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobVolk. Here he is, Jacob Volk.
Hello, Islanders fans! Welcome to another New York Islanders episode of the Jacob Volk Show. I am the Jacob Volk, except no imitation. Usually with these shows, I've spoken about the Islanders' play on the ice. But I don't want to do that here. I want to change it up a little bit. I want to focus on some things that I've seen on Islanders Twitter. Nothing bad. Just some things that caught my eye. The first thing is speculation that the Islanders could trade for Jakob Chychrun or John Klingberg. Now, I've spoken about Chychrun on regular episodes of the Jacob Volk Show. I'll repeat what I said here. I'm not a big Chychrun fan. I don't think he's as great as some people make him out to be. He had a great year last year, had 41 points in 56 games. I mean, it looked like he was starting to put it all together. After being a good, not great defenseman, it looked like he was making that leap. But it really hasn't happened. Only 7 points in 26 games. He's a minus 29. I understand that the Coyotes are garbage this year. They are 8-24-4. They only have 3 players that have a positive plus-minus. Giannis Moser, Liam O'Brien, and Riley Nash. And even then, Moser and Nash have played less than 10 games each. But still, though, a minus 29 is jarring. It's the lowest plus-minus on the Coyotes. If you double the second lowest, which belongs to Antoine Roussel, Chychrun would still have the lowest plus-minus. Roussel's a minus 14. For a defenseman to be a minus 29 is inexcusable. Like, the thing with Chychrun is maybe last year was just an aberration. Maybe he was a beneficiary of the shortened season and only facing West Division teams. The West Division was not great last year. The Kings weren't anything special. The Sharks weren't anything special. The Ducks were really bad. And even then, the Blues weren't world beaters. They got swept in the first round by the Avalanche. They went 27-20-9. You combine the losses, they were under 500. I don't think Chychrun's that great, to be honest with you. I don't think he's terrible. But if I'm going to bring in Chychrun, it's going to be on a very, very cheap trade. Like, I am not going to overpay for him. I'm not giving up a Jack Eichel type haul. I'm not giving up anything like that. Another team will outbid me. I'm okay with that. Have fun somewhere else. John Klingberg is interesting, though. Klingberg's a guy who I've liked for a while. Puts up a lot of points. This year he has 17 points in 30 games. Only one goal, which I don't like, but that number will go up. He's a minus 11, which I don't like, but the Stars aren't that good. And that minus 11 is not the worst plus minus on the Stars. He doesn't take a lot of penalties. He's good on the power play. Was great in the bubble. Had 21 points in 26 games. That was insane. John Klingberg's a very good defenseman. The thing is, though, he's going to be a free agent at the end of this season. Also, the Islanders really don't need another righty defenseman. They have Dobson, they have Mayfield, and they have Pollock. If I'm looking to the future, because it makes no sense to trade for Klingberg with the expectation of contending this year. I'm okay with trading for him, but I need to know that he's going to sign a long-term contract. But do I necessarily want him to sign a long-term contract? Is he the best use of resources for the Islanders? I'm not sure. Again, the Islanders don't need another righty defenseman. Their lefty defenseman next year, assuming nothing changes, will be Adam Pelech, Sebastian Aho, and Robin Salo. I don't trust Aho and Salo. You can do better than them. You want to have one of them on the third pair, I'm fine with that, but not both. And even then, you can do a lot better. I mean, I've said this before. The Islanders really need a lefty defenseman. Remember a while ago I was calling for the Islanders to swing a trade for Carson Soucy from the Kraken? He'd make sense. You know why? Because he's a lefty. Do you necessarily want handedness being the thing that stands between you and adding a really, really good defenseman? Probably not, but the Islanders don't have unlimited resources. Like, the thing with the Islanders is, yes, they're struggling, but you see the makings of a good young core. With guys like Barzal and Wahlstrom and Dobson and Bellows and Sorokin. And no, I'm not putting Beauvillier there. He only has 10 points in 27 games. Realistically, you can do better than Anthony Beauvillier. He's not a terrible player, but he's not untouchable either. So look, if I'm going to trade for Klingberg, I'm not trading any of those guys. Maybe I'll trade Beauvillier, but I'd prefer not to. Like, truthfully, I don't mind the idea of putting Beauvillier on the third line. I'll flip-flop Beauvillier and Bellows. I'll do that in a minute. I could even be talked into flip-flopping Wahlstrom and Bailey. give the young guns as much ice time as possible. Now that the Islanders are facing an uphill climb to make the playoffs, to put it mildly, the focus should be on giving the young guns as much time as possible. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Jacob, you just admitted that the Islanders probably aren't going to make the playoffs. Why are you okay with a John Klingberg trade? Because the Islanders are in a very weird mode right now. Yes, they're not making the playoffs, but they're also not going to go on a major sell-off. You think about the pending unrestricted free agents that the Islanders have. They're Cal Clutterbuck, Zach Parise, Zdeno Chara, and Andy Green. You're not getting anything for those guys. I'm not saying teams wouldn't be interested. Clutterbuck fills a role on the fourth line. Parise's not a bad two-way player. And Chara fills a role as a guy who you don't want to mess with. But even then, all you're getting for those guys are 4th or 5th round picks. You're not getting anything big. Even if you package guys together, you're not getting anything big. So does it make sense for the Islanders to go on a tried and true sell-off? Because realize, if the Islanders are in sell mode, you're not stopping at the pending UFAs. You're looking at guys like Varlamov, who I'm not upset at trading because Sorokin's been great. But Brock Nelson's in the mix, Anders Lee's in the mix, and Josh Bailey's in the mix. Do you want the Islanders to trade all those guys? I don't think you do. Maybe Bailey you wouldn't be upset with. I'll get into him a little later, but the point is, a sell-off is going to include trading guys who I really don't want to see go. I don't believe that this season is a harbinger of things to come. I think that the Islanders' weaknesses caught up with them. Their roster isn't great. Their lack of offense caught up with them. Their defensive play hasn't been great from an eye test perspective. Certainly not as good as it's been in years past. You know, everything just kind of caught up with the Islanders at once. So once that gets corrected, and that can all be corrected, you'll see the Islanders back in the playoffs. So I don't want to go on a full rebuild. You want to tell me there's no law that says that you have to trade other players if you're going to trade the pending UFAs? Fair enough, but realize something. That cuts both ways. There's no law that says that getting low picks means that I can't make a big splash. Maybe it's not the smartest thing to do. Like, I understand the risk of trading for a guy like Klingberg, but I don't believe in Band-Aid moves. Like, just trading the pending UFAs is a Band-Aid move. It doesn't make the Islanders any better for the future. Hallelujah. You got some low picks. Great. Fantastic. Maybe you can trade up with them. Okay, you're not trading into the first round. So it gives you the flexibility to either go on a big sell-off, which I don't think anyone wants, or you can toe the line. You can say, we got rid of guys who weren't part of our future plans, and we're bringing in a guy in John Klingberg who is a part of our future plans. We just signed him to a big extension, a la J.G. Pageau. And now we feel that we have one of the best D-man cores in the NHL. You can do that. That's okay. The thing is, though, like I said, it may not be the best use of resources. A, because Klingberg's a righty, but B, I don't think adding another defenseman is what the Islanders should be focusing on to better prepare for the future. The biggest issue that the Islanders have is not at defense. It's on offense. Who really scares you if you're a fan of an opposing team? Barzal, Wahlstrom, and Dobson. That's it. 3 guys. What the Islanders need to add more than anything is a top-line right winger. It was supposed to be Kyle Palmieri, and I understand that he's been out with a lower body injury, but when he was playing, he was not good. 7 points in only 25 games. You're playing with Anders Lee and Matt Barzal. You've got to be better than that. The guy was a -11. Yeah, let's give him a big contract and let Jordan Eberle go to the Kraken because of what Palmieri did in the playoffs last year. Meanwhile, Eberle was good in the playoffs too. Way to go, Lamoriello. Think about the lines for the Islanders going forward. It's Lee, Barzal, blank. Bellows, Nelson, Wahlstrom. You want to tell me you want to move Wahlstrom up to the top line? I'm okay with that, but realize there's still a hole on the top 6. So you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's okay, but the Islanders still have a hole at right wing. The third line, Beauvillier, Pageau, Bailey. The fourth line, Martin, Cizikas, and Palmieri. I know it's not ideal, but I've got to try to find a way to make him work. I don't hate the idea of him on the fourth line. You have a hole on defense, there's no question. You have 1 or 2, depending on how you look at it, but that bigger hole is at right wing. It just is. Can the Islanders fill that hole in free agency? Yes, but historically, the Islanders have struggled in free agency. You want to tell me that's going to change now that they have a brand new arena? Okay, that's a fair thought, but I'll believe it when I see it. I'm just jaded. That's all it is. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just jaded. So if the Islanders are gonna make a trade, if they're gonna give up a guy like Beauvillier or Atu Ratty and maybe a high pick, I want that to be for a right winger. Not necessarily a defenseman. See, here's the thing. I'm looking for a superstar right winger to put in the top 6. I'm not looking for a superstar defenseman. I have my superstar defenseman. So let me fill out the 2 other lefty spots with good, not great players. I'm fine with that. You're not going to have 18 Connor McDavids. Like, quite frankly, if the Islanders end up with Hampus Lindholm, or even if they bring Nick Leddy back, and they put in a guy like Salo or Aho on the 3rd spot, I'm fine with that. They've just got to add a superstar right winger. I don't know who that's going to be. Vladimir Tarasenko doesn't seem likely. Haven't heard his name in a while. I have no idea who it's going to be. But I really want the Islanders to go after a superstar right winger. And I do want to mention this also. Josh Bailey has gotten a lot of heat recently on Islanders Twitter. Like, it's kind of funny. I think it was the last Islander show I did. I was talking about people advocating to put him in the Islanders Hall of Fame. Now I'm talking about Islanders Twitter being mad at him. You gotta love Islanders Twitter. I mean, both can be true. He can be worthy of being a Hall of Famer and just not having a good season. Like, the thing is, though, I was recently made aware of a Twitter account at Josh Bailey Sucks. And it points out all the stuff that Bailey does wrong. And it's very funny. And there's no question that this guy's criticisms are valid. This guy isn't making stuff up. Like, I'll give him credit. I mean, he went after Bailey hard for the missed opportunity to score a power play goal. Under 90 seconds left in the second period, Barzal makes a beautiful pass to Bailey. Across the ice, Bailey's wide open. The net is wide open. All he has to do is shoot a one-timer, and the game is tied at 1. And maybe, just maybe, the Islanders win. Because realize that second goal was an empty netter. But Bailey, for some reason, held on to the puck, tried to give it back, and it didn't work. In all fairness to Bailey, though, Barzal will do that sometimes. He hasn't done it recently, but he's done it in the past. I mean, the Islanders have a pass-happy power play. It's been better as of late, but it's very pass-happy. It really doesn't advocate shooting. It advocates waiting for the perfect shot. Now, Bailey had the perfect shot. He should have shot it. But I think what happened there is just symptomatic of the Islanders. I don't think it's a Bailey issue. I don't think Josh Bailey sucks. I think there's a role for Josh Bailey on this team going forward. Should it be on the third line? The answer is yes, but that's through no fault of him. That's because guys like Bellows and Wahlstrom have been really, really good this year. So I'd rather the young guns get the big ice time. But like I said, there's a role for Bailey going forward. I think you could put him on the third line, and he'll be fine. Is he an infuriating player? Yeah, Bailey has moments where you really want to slap some sense into him. I fully understand that. But you could say that about a lot of players on this team. The thing with the Islanders is they have a lot of players that are infuriating, that are talented. No one can say that Josh Bailey isn't talented. Alright, he's a good player. He really is. And he has 14 points in 25 games. You don't do that by accident. And 12 of those are assists. He looks to pass more than he looks to shoot. Now, does that mean that it's okay for him to pass up a wide open shot when it's gifted to him? No, I'm just giving you the reasons why it happened. You can be upset about it, that's okay, but understand why it happened. But the Islanders have a lot of players that are talented, but also infuriate you. Barzal, Dobson, Bailey, Sorokin, etc., etc. Now, I understand that no one's perfect. I understand that every player is going to have at least one moment that makes you shake your head. The thing is, though, for guys like Barzy, Dobson, and Bailey, it seems to happen at least once a game. Has Barzal gotten better at it? The answer is yes. But I still see it from Dobson. I see it from Bailey. I see it from a lot of players. That's what's really holding the Islanders back. I don't think the Islanders have anyone who can be the best player on a Stanley Cup winner. Until they get that guy, they may make the playoffs, but they're always going to fall short of the ultimate goal. I mean, case in point, Game 7. You lose 1-0 with the one goal being a shorty. Yanni Gourde, my least favorite Kraken. He's the one who scored the goal. Barclay Goodrow took the penalty. You know why that goal was scored? No one picked up Gourde coming off the bench. That's infuriating. That's one of the things you need to do as a hockey player. Know where everyone is on the ice at all times. You can't lose your man. You just can't. It's an infuriating way to lose a hockey game. It was a harbinger of things to come this year. The infuriating play of guys like Barzal, Dobson, Bailey, Sorokin, etc., etc. That doesn't make them bad players. It just means that you need to supplement them with players that aren't going to make those mistakes as frequently. And Lou Lamoriello has not done that. I know I was praising Lamoriello earlier this year. Can't do it anymore. I hold him responsible for this. I'm done with him. I just am. I tried to get on the Lamoriello bandwagon. I really did. I'm off it. This guy's a joke. He just is. You'll get another New York Islanders show in 2 weeks. Next week, you're going to get a Brooklyn Nets show. Regular episodes of The Jacob Volk Show come your way every weekday afternoon. Tomorrow, you're going to get an interview that I'm going to do with Maya Washington, Gene Washington's daughter, the former Vikings wide receiver. It's going to be about a book that she wrote about her father through the banks of the Red Cedar. It's going to be a lot of fun. Until next time, I'm Jacob Volk. And always remember, if you disagree with me, you're wrong.